Everyone, welcome back to Niko's Comic Book Hauls and Reviews on the Late Night Chat Network. In today's video, I'll be discussing all of the books that I hauled throughout the month of May 2021. I'll be showing them off. I'll be giving you reviews on the books that I have read before, and some of the things I am looking forward to reading for the first time. And yeah, discussing the contents of the books, showing off some of the art in these things. And if you like what you saw here today, please give me a thumbs up, a like button on the video. Let me know what you thought in the comments section. Make sure you're subscribed to the Late Night Chat Network YouTube channel for all the other great content that we put out week to week and for these monthly video hauls that I do. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, first off, we're going to get started with the books that I hauled for May 2021 that I've never read the material of. So these are all collected editions that I've picked up that I've never actually read the material inside of it before. So first up, we got Batman: The Dark Knight Detective, Volume 5. This, of course, is the Alan Grant, Norm Brayfogle stuff, which is really highly regarded. I've read very little of their stuff, but I know that this stuff is supposed to be some of the best Batman stuff, at least from this era, I'm told. And this collects, Volume 5 collects Detective Comics 612 to 614, 616 to 621, and Detective Comics Annual number 3. So yeah, I haven't read any of these or the Cape Crusader ones, but I have been picking them up. They are all supposed to be very, very good material. Prior to the '90s Batman stuff, where Chuck Dixon comes on and kind of took over all the Bat books around that time, and it kind of went on from there, right? But yeah, this is a really good era from what I'm told. The name Norm Brayfogle, rest in peace. He's dead now. This is apparently some really great art in these that I've seen. All right, next up we got The Incredible Hulk by Peter David Omnibus Volume 3. I'm actually reading Volume 1 right now for the first time. Peter David's Hulk run, obviously, highly regarded. He was on the book for forever. I don't know, like 10 years or more. He wrote this book, something ridiculous like that, like a long run that you don't really see really done these days. So this Omnibus Volume 3, I think there's one more volume that's supposed to be coming out that should complete his whole run. This collects Incredible Hulk 401 to 435, Annual 19 to 20, Incredible Hulk versus Venom number 1, Hulk Future Imperfect 1 to 2, which I've read. Those are those drawn by George Perez. It's of the future Hulk. What's his name now? The one that has all these mini-series that are currently coming out that Peter David is actually also writing right now that are currently coming out from Marvel. Those have been highly regarded. Tales to Astonish 1994 number 1, Incredible Hulk Ashcan Edition number 1, and material for Marvel Holiday Special 91 number 3. So yeah, this is a great big omnibus. I don't know how many pages this clocks in at. It's probably like a 1400 pager. If you look in here, take a look at some of the art. It looks really cool. Really looking forward to getting it. I don't really want to spoil too much for myself because I haven't actually reached this point yet. I just started reading the first volume, but I was looking through this already. It looks like this is when Liam Sharp, I think, actually comes on the book, who, a very popular artist today. He comes on the book, and then it kind of looks much, much more different. This is David I think this is, Gary Frank, sorry, at this point, which also looks different for Gary Frank. This is early Gary Frank work. And then, Liam Sharp comes on later in the book. I believe this is it here, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, this may be the no. Yeah, this is, I believe, the Liam Sharp stuff here. Well, this is a Venom special. And then I believe he comes on somewhere. And this is the George Perez stuff here. That's the Maestro stuff. Future Imperfect. This is still Gary Frank. Yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah. That man thing here. Look how ripped he looks here. wildly different than what came before with the Gary Frank art. Yeah, Liam Sharp. Yeah, awesome. That looks cool. I'm really looking forward to reading this stuff. He's an artist I've come to really like. You know, coming off of a lot of the work that he's done with Green Lanterns recently with Grant Morrison. He's a really, really interesting artist. And yeah, look at this. Yeah, this looks really awesome. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this. I mean, Peter David's Hulk, of course, like I said, highly regarded. It's like the best Hulk run. You can ask a lot of Hulk fans, from what I've been told. So that's why I've been buying the omnibuses sight unseen. They're looking forward to getting through all these. All right, next up we got Flash Impulse runs in the family. So I bought this as an aside to the Mark Waid Flash collections that have been coming out in paperback, which I believe they're about one volume away from being completed. And actually, I believe that will be coming out in June, if I'm not mistaken. But he also wrote this Impulse series for a little bit. This is some early Humberto Ramos art, who I'm a fan of as well. I've heard like these aren't like the best of his Flash kind of stuff. I heard some people, don't like this character. Um, Very 90s and kind of annoying. I've heard certain things about the character. I've read some of his Peter David's Young Justice, and I really liked him in that. This, of course, though, is Mark Waid writing this, but I'm a big fan of Humberto Ramos's art, and even from this era, it looks pretty interesting. So I'm looking forward to checking this out. But I'm trying to complete all the Flash stuff that Mark Waid has done. So if this kind of went under your radar, definitely pick this up, because I think this whole run should be able to be collected in two of these paperbacks, from what I had heard. Originally, it was solicited for an omnibus some time ago, and then it got canceled. But then they came out with these paperbacks. So I'm kind of glad that they actually at least got the material out there for any of you like completists out there. And yeah, there's a few Flash issues I think in here as well. It has collects Impulse 1 to 12 and Flash 108 to 111. I don't know if that's also included in the Flash by Waid paperbacks. It might be. Yeah, including the 6-part Dead Heat crossover, co-starring Flash. So yeah, that's Flash Impulse runs in the family. If you did end up missing out on this one, and you are collecting Mark Waid's Flash runs in the paperback collections that have been coming out, definitely go and grab this. All right, then we got Loki, Agent of Asgard, the complete collection reprint, just in time for the Loki show. I don't know if it's loosely based off of this or not. I've never read this. This is written by Al Ewing, probably back when he was kind of starting out at Marvel, and I wasn't as familiar with him as a writer. And now he's been writing so many great things for them. So I think that's, that and the reason that the show is coming out. I think this was definitely due for a reprint. This was very out of print, this complete collection. But this is a really great run from what I've been told. This collects issues 1 to 17, and original Sin 5.1 to 5.5, and material from Marvel Now .1 number 1. Yeah, this is the Al Ewing run on Loki, Agent of Asgard. So yeah, looking forward to what this is. I don't know if it's like he's like an agent of Shield, kind of something like along the lines of that, but working for Asgard in this. Lee Garbett did some of the art in this, who I'm a fan of. Again, both creators at this time when this book had come out, that it wasn't enough for me to grab the title. And this is definitely something that flew under my radar and that I've heard such great things about since then. So I'm very glad that they reprinted this, because I couldn't find this paperback anywhere once I heard about how good it was. So just in time for the show, that'll be starting, I believe, very soon to the time of this recording. And I'm really looking forward to checking that out. So if you like Loki as a character, I've heard really good things about this, so definitely check it out. And then last but not least, we got the Neil Gaiman Library Volume 3. I've been collecting these. These collect a bunch of short story comics. Short story Neil Gaiman short stories that were adapted into comic books that he's been doing through Dark Horse over the last, I don't know, probably several years now. This got a mix of newer stuff and older things in this. So this has 4 complete books in one volume. It says Snow Glass Apples, which was newer. I think that came out like a year or two ago, which I have read. The Problem of Susan, Only the End of the World Again, and Creatures of the Night, which I haven't read any of those other 3. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. This has art from P. Craig Russell, Colleen Doran, who I believe that's who did the Snow Glass Apples book, Scott Hampton, Paul Chadwick, Troy Nixie, Michael Zulli. So he always has like good, interesting artists working for him in these adaptations. Of course, always really well written, Neil Gaiman stuff. Since it is an anthology, or I guess different short stories of his, I'm sure not everyone's gonna be I'm gonna love, but these nice library editions that they've been coming out with. I'm a big fan of the library edition format that Dark Horse Comics comes out with. And like I said, if he's got really great artists working with him on these stories, that's kind of enough for me to pick up these nice library editions and give them a try, because for the price point, it's really well worth it. I mean, you get a really nice hardcover. These retail for $50 normally, but if you can get it for cheaper, a discount comic book service, or what I mean, something like that. If you have the means of getting it even cheaper, then this is a really great collection not to pass up. Any of the library editions from Dark Horse, for that matter, really well done. And so this is Snow Glass Apples. This is the only one I have read in this, but yeah, look at the art in this. Yeah, just beautiful stuff. Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that, but then I heard they were coming out with these library editions, so I ended up getting rid of my copy of Snow Glass Apples because I wanted to opt in for these library editions. And so like I said, you're probably not going to love every story in these, but there's going to be probably something that strikes your fancy for sure. If not, most of them, and if not, you at least get this really nice art from really good artists in oversized format in these library editions. Yeah. I think this is the Michael Zulli one. It might be. I'm not as familiar with his work, though, so I might be wrong on that one. That might be Scott Hampton. This is Paul Chadwick right here, I believe. Yeah, artist of Concrete. Oh, no, this is Troy Nixie. My bad. I've read some of his stuff too. Yeah, that's Troy Nixie. Yeah, that one was dedicated to Michael Zulli. Oh, this is the Michael Zulli stuff here. Okay, interesting. Yeah, some really nice looking artists. See, some of these guys, they don't do enough comic work for me to actually even tell who's drawing what there. I'm familiar with some of their stuff, but not enough to tell you outright. So yeah, this is the Paul Chadwick. Yeah, there we go. Really looking forward to checking these out. Okay. All right, so next up, it's the books that I have read the material of that I picked up throughout the month of May 2021. And first up, we got Death or Glory, the Prestige Edition. It's written by Rick Remender, art by Bengal. I always buy all of the big deluxe editions of all of Rick Remender's work. I'm a huge fan of Rick Remender's writing. This was actually one of the. I also double dip and end up reading a lot of his series and issues as well. He always works with fantastic artists, so again, it really deserves this treatment whenever he comes out with these big hardcovers. He's a fan of the format, so I love picking them up when they do come out with them. He works with all great artists. He has a really great eye for that, being an artist himself back in the day as well. But yeah, so Death or Glory, though, I will say I was picking it up in issues. It didn't grab me the way some of his other stuff really has, which is disappointing to hear, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this also, I think, helped him. Like, he enjoyed writing this at the time because I think he was dealing with the death of his father at that time, and this book probably meant a lot to him. I think I heard him discuss this somewhere, and if I'm wrong on that, I apologize, but for whatever reason, this didn't connect with me after a few issues, so I ended up dropping the book in issues. And maybe it was always planned as 11 issues. Maybe that's why it didn't kind of go on longer than that. But this only lasted 11 issues. But so I'm glad. I think you can read it in a couple of trade paperbacks as well. But knowing Rick Remender, I ended up waiting for the hardcover of this. And so I actually ended up reading this for the first time all together when I picked up this hardcover, because I had only read a few issues before, maybe even up to issue 3 or 4. So Bengal is an artist who I've liked Bengal's work from what I've seen, so I knew kind of what I was in for, at least from that aspect. I know Remender has said that he liked Bengal's work as well. I've seen some Bengal work on some stuff that he's done for Marvel and some European comics that he's done, and I think he's a French artist, if I'm not mistaken. And he does like action sequences really good. He does car chases, cars really well, as you can tell. Like this is a book that was kind of tailor made, I think, for his art. Out of all the artists that Rick Remender works with, there's so many great artists that he works with. Um, Bengal's not in my, probably even my top five, believe it or not. But the art is good and it looks great in this format. So I don't want to knock the art. It is very nice, very clean lined, and like I said, the things that he depicts in this book, Bengal does well. So yeah, this is a really out there book, though. I mean, this premise is simple. It's about somebody trying to save Glory, the woman in this, the protagonist, trying to save her father. And I guess they were kind of they were truckers. Like she kind of grew up, living that trucker life. Like her father, or the person took care of her. Was a trucker, so it kind of has, and she works in she's like a mechanic, I guess nowadays, and her father's dying, so she kind of sets out on this like crazy adventure, basically to get money for like an organ transplant for him because he's dying, and she only has a week to do it. And then throw in a bunch of weird elements, serial killers, drug dealers, people that are basically abducting human beings, like human trafficking type stuff is going on. There's people, hiding bodies by grinding them into meat, like essentially in a butcher shop. There's a lot of weird elements in this book, weird characters that she comes across, and it kind of, it's really out there in that sense. But at the end of the day, like the actual premise is simple. It's just everything that she encounters in her travels and the characters she comes across that are really weird. And that's not even the extent of it. I just named off a few things that I could recall. So it kind of goes places in that regard. I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Well, I did end up reading probably only in 2 sittings, maybe even 1 sitting. It was only 11 issues, like I said. It was a quick read. The art was good. Love the format, like I said. I like Remender as a writer. This is definitely different than a lot of his other things. So yeah, I did enjoy it. I still don't think it's up there with one of my favorite works that he's done, but if you are a Remender fan, if you're a fan of this, beautiful looking art, these hardcovers that they come out with, I definitely think it's worth picking up still. The retail price of this is actually pretty good too. I mean, it is only 11 issues plus some extras in the back. But it retails for $40. So yeah, I think it's a nice looking hardcover, and definitely deserving of the art on this one. And then we got some manga that I read as well. This is Gantz. This is Omnibus Volume 6. I really got worried for a moment that they weren't going to continue to reprint these because Dark Horse took a while to actually come out with this next volume. And then I think that it got pushed back, and then the solicitations that were online, it didn't pop back up for a little bit. And then so when this was solicited, and I think they may have already solicited Volume 7, I was happy about that because I was kind of in the middle of this series. They've been reprinting this story, Gantz. This is one of those books, I think, that has its fans and some people that, really hate it as well. Maybe because of the way the story kind of the trajectory that it takes, or just the artist and like some of his perverted ways at the start of the series with some of his, even like his chapter breaks. It features women seductive half-naked poses, so like something like that essentially. A lot of that kind of TNA type stuff was really a lot very early in the probably in the earlier volumes, probably the first or second omnibus, and really since then it's been like kind of like a non-stop action kind of flick, slash sci-fi type elements going on in this book. So I don't really want to get into the plot too heavy for this one. I mean, I know that there's animes out there of Gantz as well, and it's probably one of the more well-known mangas for people that are fans of that medium. Dark Horse, like I said, has been printing these omnibuses. These are 3 volumes in one. I mentioned here over 680 pages, and retail for $24.99 US. So it's a good chunk of manga. You get, like I said, you're getting 3 volumes of this. A lot of these volumes previously were out of print, like the single volumes of this. So I'm glad that they've been reprinting these. If they were to go and come out with library editions after this, like deluxe editions, like they've been doing with Berserk and Blade of the Immortal and some of their other great manga series, Hellsing. I don't think I'd upgrade. I'm pretty happy, I think, having this book in this format. With the art and the way it is. So yeah, so Gantz, volume 6. I still enjoy this volume. Although this is definitely, I think, in this volume, it didn't move forward as much as I probably wanted it to, like some of the previous volumes. So I'm really looking forward to the next installment. And then we got Hell's Paradise, Volume 8. Jigo Kuraku, story and art by Yuji Kaku, and this is volume 8. I've talked about this, I think, a couple months ago in the last haul, where I read volumes 6 and 7, got caught up, and then the volume 8 just came out. I believe, like I said previously, this manga, I think, is already done in Japan, so I think this has only got a few more volumes to go. I've really enjoyed this. Like I said, it's got a bunch of samurai in it, really great art, and a lot of action. So for me, it's an easy sell in that regard. But I think it's gone some interesting places. But I think we need a little bit more resolution as to what the hell's going on in this island that all these prisoners are basically stuck on currently in the story. And that's all I'll say about that. But this was another great volume. I'm really looking forward to the next one. Oh, well, this one actually got mixed up in this pile. This actually is stuff I haven't as of yet read. I have been collecting these Full Metal Alchemist books in hardcover. I have read some of this series, though. So I haven't read this particular volume, though, so it actually just got mixed up in the wrong pile. But Full Metal Alchemist, I mean, it's a very well-known manga and anime as well. And, I really like this book, and I'm looking forward to actually sitting back down and reading the whole thing the whole way through, because I think I read up to maybe volume 7 or 8 in these hardcovers, but then I kind of fell off, so I got to probably restart it again, or figure out where I kind of fell off previously, because I really like this series. It's beautifully drawn, and there's just a lot of great character work in this, and it's very interesting. Makes you think a lot about, you know, right and wrong. All right, so next up we got Outcast, Volume 8, written by Robert Kirkman, art by Paul Azaceta. This is the last volume of Outcast, at least in the paperback format. I'm sure the last hardcover collection is going to be coming out soon. This, of course, was a show. I think it only lasted 2 seasons. It was not as popular, obviously, as Walking Dead has been for Robert Kirkman. And I don't think there's many actual fans that I've heard from that really enjoy this, of the comic series, for that matter. This collected issues 43 to 48. I continue through this based off of my enjoyment of most of Kirkman's stuff that he's done. It's definitely a darker story. And I don't necessarily know if this character was redeemed by the end of it. I'd like to think that he's definitely in a better place than he was when the book started out, because the whole thing dealt with some themes that maybe wouldn't be people wouldn't love. The fact that he was kind of looked upon as a like a wife beater, essentially, at the start of this book, like an abusive husband, and then you find out that he's like, I think that his wife was like, his mother got possessed when he was young, and like his wife, I think, was possessed, and he's like this person that can basically kill like these possessions, these spirits that are taking over these people's bodies. Essentially, he has the power to do that. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's been some time since I read those volumes. I just know that he wasn't a character you were really rooting for at the start of this. There was a happy ending to this. I mean, Kirkman, he even wrote like a little, a couple pages in the back of this volume that I'm sure was printed originally in the comic book single issue, kind of talking about his time with this book and with the show and everything else, and saying that he's a sucker for happy endings. And if you've read most of his other things, he does definitely have a happy ending of sorts for the characters involved for the most part, despite all like the bullshit that goes on with them during his titles. I mean, he definitely will kill a character for no fucking good reason sometimes. These are some of the things I think people don't like about Kirkman's writing, and yeah, but this was good. I liked it. I liked it enough to finish it. I don't think it was terrible. I also don't think it's one of his best things that he's done. I've definitely read better from Kirkman as well. But yeah, it was good for what it was. That's Outcast Volume 8. This one is very interesting. This is Static by Matt Luzniewski. He wrote and drew this, and this is printed by Dark Horse Comics. This guy did, I think, a book called The Freak that came out through Fantagraphics a year or two ago. I actually seen when I went to the Chicago Comic Con C2E2 a couple years ago. I kind of met this guy there, and at that point, I had heard about his book, The Freak, and I ended up going by his table, and I believe he had some preview pages of this story that he was working on at that time as well. He had just started work on this. So this is, a year or two's work probably that he's been working on this other book after his debut, at least the stuff that I've seen on in the Freak. And yeah, he's a very interesting artist. Definitely more of an indie style. But this is a weird story. I would definitely say if you're into like more indie art or things that are kind of obscure, like different stories. This is about a guy who basically he's like addicted to some sort of like weird drug, and he's having withdrawals throughout the kind of beginning of this book, and you see that he kind of does these like bounty kind of things like for hire. He like goes and tracks down like weird animals in I guess some sort of post-apocalyptic type future setting, and he ends up like like killing like things that are like weird creatures like dinosaurs and things like that, it seems like, or just like and he takes them back to like this mad scientist kind of dude that's like Frankensteining like some sort of creature that's made up of a bunch of animals that this guy basically collects for him and ends up killing, and so he can use for his experiments. And it kind of goes from there. I mean, he's like I said, he's withdrawing from drugs. He owes some guys some money in this, and you can see him sweating in the bed here in this scene. Yeah, so it's I don't know. It's a very strange, very different type of story with some really great art and great storytelling, and it was different and interesting. And you should give it a shot if you like this guy's art. Definitely check it out online, and then maybe give this one a shot, because I think it's a cheap paperback. I mean, it retails for $19.99, but it's it's over 100 pages, and it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. Quick read. And this is Green Arrow, Black Canary, Till Death Do They Part. And this is Judd Winnick's run on Green Arrow. At this time, I think the book became Green Arrow, Black Canary. This collects Green Arrow and Black Canary 1-14 in the wedding special. I've read all these issues before. I had picked up the issue specifically, but then I don't really collect like a lot of Green Arrow singles, so I ended up getting rid of it. So when they finally solicited this collection, because it was kind of spread out amongst like a few numbered trades prior to this, this collects that whole run. And this is actually the great thing about this too is. This has Cliff Chang and Amanda Connor on art. And Mike Norden. Amanda Connor, I believe, did the wedding special, if I'm not mistaken, and then Cliff Chang did a lot of the ongoing series of the Green Arrow, Black Canary. Judd Winnick, I've read some things by him that I've enjoyed, and this is definitely one of them. I really enjoyed his take on these two's relationship. Yeah, this is all the Amanda Connor wedding special stuff. So this paperback it's like a fun adventure kind of title with these two characters, and them being together, married, and both being superheroes with great art. Cliff Chang, I mean, of course, I went on to do Paper Girls and, the Wonder Woman run with Azzarello at DC. Definitely has done a lot of big things since he did the art on here. But if you're a fan of great artwork, or like I said, Amanda Connor, Cliff Chang, and there's even Mike Norden here, Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to revisiting this one day. But I have read the material and I can vouch for it, and I really enjoyed it. It's up there with my favorite Green Arrow stuff. So yeah, I'm glad that they DC finally put this out, and I think it's $35. Yeah, $35 retail. So there you go. Next up, we got Jay Gonzo's La Mano del Destino, Lucha Libre action. I've heard about this book a lot. I think this guy, like, he self-published these issues prior to Image actually printing this volume. I think he's somebody that has like another full time job, but basically also has a passion for comics and obviously wrestling, I'm sure, or lucha libre wrestling. So, the art is really really cool looking, and the colors in this, I gotta say. So this guy, like I said, he self-published this book, I believe, prior to them finally picking this up and printing it through Image. And I've heard lots of great things about this book going into it. If you haven't, I'd never seen him at a con or anything that I've went to, so I was never able to kind of check this book out prior to now. So I'm glad Image printed this, and I'm glad that something like this is out there. If you're a fan of wrestling or lucha libre stuff, this is probably going to appeal to you as well. And then on top of that, there's a lot of great. This is a really, like I said, the color palette that he uses, the art style, really really interesting stuff. But that all being said, I gotta say the story left me wanting a little bit, and it's disappointing to say because I thought I was gonna be a lot more into it than I was. Um, so so yeah, that's all I'll say on it. I'll say if the art, like I said, is worth it to you to pick up this paperback. It's not a huge investment. It's definitely worth that. And you might like the story more than I did, but the story kind of, like I said, it didn't do it for me as much as I had hoped. But and I don't know if there's more past this. I think this collects the first 5 issues of his series. So I don't know if there's more past this or not. I don't know how much issues he's actually self-published or has done. But if there is more of this, it's definitely worth checking out. I think more of, like, this could be his earlier stuff, and maybe he gets better as a storyteller, or maybe I'm wrong, quite frankly. That's just my opinion, but I would check out another volume of this is what I'm saying, because it had everything else I was interested in other than the story itself. I just felt was lacking a bit for me. And this is the third and final volume of Invisible Kingdom, written by G. Willow Wilson. Of course, mostly known, I guess, as the creator of Ms. Marvel. And then Christian Ward on art. This is, as I mentioned, this is the last volume. This collects, I guess, issues 11 to 15, or is it 12 to 18? I know these either collect 6 issues or 5 issues each. And it's not showing me. There we go. It is. Yeah, part 5. So I think this collects issues 11 to 15, if I'm not mistaken. They did not make it easy on me trying to locate that one. Anyways, this is a really great story. I really like this a lot. This is by Berger Books, the imprint of Karen Berger, an editor, I believe, at Vertigo for a long time. Went off to Dark Horse, started this line of Berger Books, and they've been coming out with some interesting things. I quite enjoyed this. This is a story about love and religion, and like religion in the sense like somebody who's kind of lost their way a bit. They don't know what to think. Something that they believe in, they've found out not to be true. Some sort of thing that they've worshipped in their life, and and then they meet somebody, and it's more about a love story between these two, and like a kind of a space adventure that kind of surrounds them, and them trying to finally get back together with one another after like a bunch of shit had happened but to both of them in their lives. So yeah, it's a space love story, and with some like I said, some religious kind of themes as well, and about faith and all this other kind of stuff, right? And politics and everything else. So yeah, I really really liked it. and Christian Ward, he was an artist I've grown to really like. I never, in the past, he hasn't been my favorite, but he worked on some great things at Marvel during his time over there. I couldn't get into his book Odyssey with Matt Fraction, which was a retelling of the Odyssey, I think, with a woman. But yeah, this was quite good. And if they do end up coming out with a library edition of this, I'm not sure if that's the route that Burger Books imprint's going to go at Dark Horse Comics. I would probably consider double dipping and picking those up because I really quite enjoyed this. Okay, so this one I'm really excited to show off. This is the all new Wolverine Omnibus. Yeah, this is Tom Taylor with a bunch of great artists. Did a run on Laura Kinney, X-23. Um, Through Marvel Comics, they finally collected it all in one omnibus. I'm a huge fan of this run, huge fan of this character as a result of some of the X-23 stuff that came out prior to this. But this is definitely, I think, my favorite thing that she's ever been in is this run by Tom Taylor. I've talked about Tom Taylor on the channel here before, how big of a fan I am of his writing. This was just a hell of a lot of fun, this book. And then it introduced us to her little sister in this as well. And her pet, her actual pet Wolverine. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. This book. I don't want to spoil too much of the story elements. I just want to let you guys know that there is a different variety of different artists on this omnibus. Maybe you may not love that how inconsistent each arc is because there is a new artist that comes on board. Some of them better than others, but I think it was pretty serviceable art throughout. Nothing really, I think, disappointed me too much. But if you like Tom Taylor, if you like this character, it's a no-brainer. This is just a really, really fun run that I can't say enough about. This is one of my favorite things in recent years that Marvel has done. I'm so glad that they finally collected this in an omnibus. I had the trade paperbacks. I got rid of them to upgrade to this omnibus. So yeah, I'm a real big fan of this. Yeah, there's Old Man Wolverine. Old Man Logan kind of came during this point in time. Yeah. So this collects, I'll mention which issues this collects. That is issues 1 to 35 and Annual 1 and Generations Wolverine and All New Wolverine. And some of the artists, David Lopez, David Navarro, Marcio Takara, Iguara, Nick Varela, Jabril Morissette Fan. I'm probably screwing these names up. I'm sorry. Leonard Kirk, Juan Cabal, Marco Fiala, Ramon Rosanes. Yeah, there's a lot of artists on here, guys. So yeah, and then I think you're getting into the inkers and colorists after that. But yeah, this was a hell of a lot of fun. I really, really love this book. And then we got, speaking of Dark Horse's library editions and how much I love them, this is Ether. This is Matt Kindt and David Rubin, who are actually working on him and Jeff Lemire hooked up with David Rubin, who've both worked with him over the past few years, bringing different things out. David Rubin, I think, did some stuff for Black Hammer most recently with Jeff. And he was working on this book with Matt Kindt at Dark Horse Comics prior to that, and he put out some other great things. He's a great artist, David Rubin. Matt Kindt, also an artist and writer. This book came out in 3 different, I think, miniseries essentially, and then there was 3 different volumes. I don't know if I think they did the Dark Horse thing where they just came out with 3 individual miniseries, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't pick it up in singles, but there was 3 individual paperback volumes for this series. It was basically like a trilogy, and I picked it up and read it that way. And being a huge fan of David Rubin's art, again, with these library editions, I had to pick this up because this is a no-brainer. So I'm just going to show off some of the art here. This is about a man that kind of he sacrifices his family essentially in the name of science and spending most of his days in this other world that he learns how to access. And time moves differently in this other world, but when he goes there, he has all these crazy fun detective type adventures and by helping these people and this is basically these stories kind of chronicle his time over there. But I think by the end of it, there is a through line of how he spent so much time wrapped up in this other world that he basically abandoned his family, and his responsibilities. And by the time he actually made it back to Earth, he was an old man. He wasted his life, and the only place that he could still feel alive or actually, feel actually worth a damn, and still be helpful to people is in this other world. So yeah, so it's got definitely got like a human kind of story and element to it as you go throughout. But the adventures that he has are anything but. Like, they're very fantastical with great David Rubin art, lots of drawings of different weird creatures and different stuff that he encounters in this world. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this book. I really liked it. And David Rubin's art is something to behold in this format. I'm really glad that they came out with it this way. So yeah, definitely pick this up. I think this actually retailed for $60. It is a fat library edition, though. I think it collects the 15 issues of these Ether series that they came out with, and all 3 miniseries, in an oversized hardcover, plus with a lot of bonus content like actual sketch stuff in the back. Yeah, so this was a lot of fun. And last but certainly not least, one of my favorite books that I picked up in this whole haul. This is the Superman by Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason omnibus. This collects all the whole run by Peter Tomasi. Most of it drawn by Patrick Gleason, but he had other great artists that worked with him in this. Doug Mahnke and what's his name? George Jimenez, who's now, I believe, doing Batman. So yeah, this is really great. This is the Rebirth Superman series. I'm not a huge Superman fan per se, but this is probably my favorite modern run that I've actually ended up trying out and really loving. This Rebirth Superman series. And yeah, like I said, great artists throughout. If you liked Peter Tomasi's and Patrick Gleason's stuff on Batman and Robin, this is essentially Superman with his son, with Jonathan Kent, who's also now a big part of the DC universe. And he was introduced through a series that they did, Jan Jurgens and him, I guess during Convergence, and then was brought into the Rebirth era of DC, and then they followed their adventures throughout this. So this is like a very nice, wholesome Superman. Lots of great moments with him and his son. And yeah, it was just a really, really fun series. And you had like a lot of one and done, like, or 2-3 issue little arcs throughout this too. A lot of nods into other things within the DC universe. Doug Mahnke comes on the book, of course, because Frankenstein basically shows up in the book, like things like that. Just a lot of fun little ideas and anything goes type moments. Yeah, he teams up with Damian. The whole Super Sons thing that they also have an omnibus of that Peter Tomasi went off to write as well, following this or around the same time at some point, came from this book originally too. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, see Frankenstein, Doug Mahnke on art. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this run, and I'm glad that I collected all in one volume. I'm glad to have this on my shelf. I'll let you guys know what it does collect here though. And let's see here. This is the dust cover. And this collects Superman 1 to 25, 27 to 28, 33 to 39, Adventures, and 42 to 45, Superman Annual number 1, Superman Rebirth number 1, Superman Special number 1, Action Comics 975 to 976, 1000, Super Sons 11 and 12, and Teen Titans 975 to 976. So I've read all this. It's a great omnibus, though, and I definitely think you guys should pick this up. Even if you're not a huge Superman fan, because, like I said, he made me a fan with this run, and I wish the Bendis stuff that preceded it is nowhere near as good as this. I hated that, and I gave that Bendis run a shot too. I'm not somebody that bashes Bendis. I'm a fan of his, but it was a shame that he kind of had to move off of the book when Bendis came over to DC, because this was what was happening prior to Bendis coming over, and the big announcement that Bendis was going to take over Action Comics as Superman. And I was disappointed that they had to end up dropping this as a result. So yeah, so there you go, Superman by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason omnibus. All right, well, that's going to do it for this month. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please check back next month for the next comic book hauls and reviews video. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure to like the video. And like I said, leave me a comment. If there's anything else you want me to add to these videos and or discuss when I'm showing off these books, let me know in the comments. And thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back. If this is, the second or third time you've even checked out these videos, I've really been enjoying doing them since I've started. And yeah, thanks again to everybody out there. All right, we'll see you guys next time.